What's up, everybody? Welcome to the fourth episode of the College Loop podcast. It's just two of us today, me, Dylan Larck, at You Boy the Tank on Twitter, and joined by my co-host, as always, Mr. Harrison Tarr. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. That's at by Harrison Tarr on Twitter if you want to check out my work, and also make sure you check out the at the College Loop on Twitter. Interact with us, send us your questions. I think that next week, and I haven't, I'm live pitching this to Dylan, so this is everyone's hearing it at the same time. I think next week, maybe Tuesdays, we can start doing a mailbag. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Be really
So,
fun.
get some mailbag questions for next week, and we can answer those right here on the show.
Let's see, we are recording this about 15-ish minutes after the conclusion of the Auburn-Florida game, which we are going to talk about for the bulk of this episode. Auburn found a way to win 61-58 in a absolute slugfest offensively. Neither one of these two teams could find any rhythm on offense, and as soon as one did, the other one did also.
Dylan, you know what I say, all right, and I stand by this a lot. This team's going to win a lot of ugly games, but winners win. And it was ugly, and Auburn's gonna drop some games this year, and that's going to happen. And I think that was on full display tonight. Conference play is going to be a little grittier than I think they may have thought it was going to be. The SEC is just deep top to bottom, but winners win, right? At the end of the day, if you got that dog in you, you'll find a way to come out on top. And I think you watched all 40 minutes. I was able to watch 10 of the 40. I was in transit from Atlanta to New Jersey, so I'm coming to you live from New Jersey. But I'm excited to get to talk about it. I don't know if we're going to mention the name Colin Castleton at all because I didn't hear it at all on the broadcast, not once.
Uh, if you watch the game at all, you understand that he is being a little sarcastic. Jimmy Dykes did not want to go 2 minutes without mentioning the fact that Castleton was on the floor. And
It's unreal the love affair for Colin Castleton, and I'm going to be honest, I was super underwhelmed.
I mean, the love affair makes sense. He's in a long-term relationship with the Florida Gators as it stands right now. But Castleton's stats were he had 6 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. And it seemed like whenever Janai Broome was on Colin Castleton, Castleton found it hard to get buckets, and then Auburn would try to throw another man on him, and that's where he got those assists and all that stuff because people would dash right by whoever was the second man, and that's where they got most of their points, or at least some of their points.
Well, let's talk for a minute here. When we came into this game, we knew, and we've been talking about this for a week now. You and I have, and it's not just us. I'm not going to claim we're the only ones saying this. Anyone in the college basketball sphere could have looked at this game and said, "Yeah, the key to shutting down Florida is shutting down Colin Castleton," and Auburn effectively did that. I was able to kind of speed watch the first half tape. Even in the first half, I mean, they were forcing Florida to shoot from the field, make backdoor cuts, and really effectively shutting down Colin Castleton. I mean, 6 points, 2 of those in garbage time. I mean, I guess not garbage time. It was a big time bucket. But you know what I mean? Late game, and I think that to a large extent, Janai Broome's got to hang his hat on the fact that he was better than Colin Castleton tonight. And for that matter, I mean, Dylan Cardwell held his own against Colin Castleton.
And
So,
big game from Janai Broome tonight. 14 points and 11 rebounds for a double-double. Also added 4 assists. Broome was just manhandling Castleton, and anytime they didn't call a foul on Broome for playing defense, Castleton could not find any rhythm offensively. That's why he only had 6 points. And we talked about this on last episode that the key factor to keep Florida from winning this game is to shut down Castleton. And we talked about how the only way Florida could really win this game was with like a double, well, at least double-digit points from Castleton. And of course, if he was to score 3-4 more points, Florida would have won this game. So big key factor of this game is Auburn's defense showed up when they needed to.
well, let's also not take away from Florida's guard play. I mean, Florida got good guard play tonight. Myron
Yes.
Jones transferred out of Penn State. He was broke shot wise last year, and suddenly Florida has fixed him. So power to him. 10 points from him tonight. Reeves had 15. Florida had good guard play, and we talked about this going into this game. It's a large part of this, and aside from the Colin Castleton factor, it was going to be how is Auburn's guard play going to stack up, and it's going to be like that every night, right? Every SEC game. And flat out, I mean, Florida won the battle of the guards tonight.
Not to mention their two best guards were the ones on the bench, as you mentioned, with Reeves had 15 points off the bench, and their other one, Jones, had 10 points off the bench. Auburn only had one guard that really put up did put double-digit points up, was Wendell Green. They got 14 points. Who Wendell, he ended the half with a half-court buzzer beater, which really got Auburn moving. He said some expletives to the camera
You expletives in there never hurt anybody, right?
to get him the ball. And it seemed during at least the first 5 minutes of the second half, Auburn was getting him the ball, and Auburn was scoring a lot of points to start off the second half. They scored 12 points, and I believe 10 of them were Wendell Green. Get him the ball. When Wendell Green's hot, he's one of the hardest people to stop in the sport. Like, don't let that man get hot if you're playing defense on him.
Well, Dylan, I think that we talked about this a couple on the last episode on I guess that'll be Tuesday's episode. Yes. Tuesday's episode. Sorry, it's all kind of blurring together for me. On Tuesday's episode about at some point, and I know I mentioned this. I think you echoed the same thing. Wendell Green, Jalen Williams, Janai Broome, and good version of Alan Flanagan are going to have to look around and say this is what we got. And I kind of think we saw a little flare of that tonight. I don't want anybody to panic. I don't think there's trouble in paradise in that locker room. I think the chemistry on that team is just fine. I think it was a little frustration because Wendell knows that this team. I don't think this team's going to finish in the top four in the SEC. I'm just going to be honest right now in the regular season. I think it'll be a dogfight to finish in that top five. Hell, man, if they play like they did tonight, they're going to be fighting for a spot in the tournament. But that aside, I think tonight was kind of the first glimpse of what that's going to take in an SEC contest. I mean, at some point, Wendell's going to have to say, and I guess echo that same statement for Janai Broome and Jalen Williams. Look, this is what we got. This is how we're going to score. And I mean, look at your top three scores tonight. I think that tells the tale, right? Because as you go through on this gauntlet, you got to go play in Knoxville. You've got to play at Alabama. You've got to play at Kentucky and Rupp Arena. You get Tennessee twice. You get Bama twice. It's a tough slate. And this team's got to figure it out sooner than later. Bruce Pearl's got to be happy with the win tonight, though. So,
I'm going to echo what you texted earlier. A win is a win is a win is a win. But like you talk about Florida winning the guard play. You look at Wendell Green. He had a great game tonight, especially whenever he was able to get the ball. But I mean, if you look at between Flanagan and Zepp and Donaldson, there's 2 points between those three guards. I'm not counting KD because he had 8 points, but he shot 0 for 3 from the 3-point line. Just we got to get some consistency with scoring. I mean, how consistent is it going to be where Janai, Jalen, and Wendell are going to be our top scorers every night?
I think Auburn's there. I really do. I think that Auburn has arrived to that conclusion tonight. Let's also take notice of some guys that weren't on the floor. Let's go ahead and say it. Chance Westry did not see the floor tonight.
He did not.
It did look a little bit like Bruce was like, it's time to hone in on this is what we got right now. I haven't looked off the top of my head, and I've got this the box score right in front of me. So just let me double check this before I say anything. Johan played 7 minutes today. Johan Traore played 7 minutes today. We're getting into the form of this team knows what their identity is. They know what it's going to take for them to win games. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the week. I said something to the effect of it's a race to 60, right?
Yeah.
And with this defensive minded team, and let's be honest, they just don't have shooters. You've got J Will and you've got Icy Wind depending on the night. But this is where it's at. I think your top three scorers on a nightly basis are going to be, like we've said the past week, it's going to be Jalen Williams, it's going to be Janai Broome, it's going to be Wendell Green, and every now and then you're going to sprinkle in a good Alan Flanagan game. You're going to sprinkle in a good Kevin Durant. How about Kadarius Johnson game? Good KD game. And Zepp's going to be good for 1 12-point performance this year, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then we already had the Chris Moore game. Unfortunately, I would love to have that happen in SEC play because I love Chris Moore.
Simo did start off very hot in this game, putting up 4 points in the first 2 minutes.
He might be the second or third most consistent player on the Auburn team.
And Simo started off the game getting 4 points, ended the game with 8. Another key factor of this game is the fact that first half Auburn had 12 turnovers, which I remember there was a tweet, I think, from Hoke that said we were on pace to put up 24 turnovers, which would have been the most we've had this season. But I don't know what was in that locker room. But after the first half, we only had 3 turnovers in the second half, and one was almost a backbreaker in the last 24 seconds of that game with a J will pass to
Sure
the
was.
Florida defender.
Sure was.
My heart dropped when that ball got caught by a Florida player.
I'm going to kind of build off of what you just said for a second. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to speculate. This would be ground. This game is definitely grounds if the AP poll decides to drop Auburn out. I wouldn't fault them. But there's going to be a lot of negative speculation around this game. There's a couple of things Auburn I thought did well.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you didn't let Florida get into the bonus until the under 4 media timeout. That's huge, absolutely huge, because Auburn has been shooting themselves in the foot to this point in the season and having to play scramble pickup, lack of a better term, run and gun pickup basketball, like they did against Georgia State. In the late going, where they're in foul trouble, you can't keep Janai on the floor because he's getting hacked, which that's going to happen to a big man. That's going to happen. But then you're getting Jay Will in trouble, and then KD's in trouble, and you're giving up free points. You did not give up free points until the under 4 timeout. That's huge. I thought they did that very well. And to your point, I mean, limiting turnovers in the second half. If Bruce Pearl's team's going to win games, they're going to have to hover under 15 turnovers a game. You're going to turn the ball over. It happens in basketball. Duh. You're going to have double-digit turnovers more than likely almost every game. But you got to keep it under 15.
Very true. And another thing about Auburn, this game. So this season, Auburn is averaging 7.1 blocks per game, which is top 10 in the nation. Tonight, only got 3 blocks. And that came from 3 different players. Janai, Simo, and Dylan Cardwell all got 3 blocks.
I want to put it this way, though. The counterpoint.
Got 1 block.
You're not going to see a ton of more teams with the same style or same caliber height that Florida has. Florida, not super talented, very tall. So, I mean, it's a wash in my opinion. I mean, you're going to play some smaller teams with guard play. You're going to play in Alabama, and you'll probably have more packs against Bama than you did against Florida, and that's just kind of the lay of the land. But right now, this team's got to gear up and get ready to play a smaller team at Georgia, in Athens, on the road, and gave them fits last year. So
the bad thing about this game coming up is we don't know what Auburn we're going to see this time around. Last game, we said it was the most complete game we've ever watched from this season at Washington. Bring them into Neville Arena. We get a bit of a sluggy, very bad offensive-looking team against a worse team than Washington, we would say. And now, what do we expect to see going into Athens? I think is it this weekend or is it next week?
Midweek next week. I believe it's next Wednesday. I'll be in attendance. I'll be a witness, as Bruce Pearl likes to call it. I think you just posed a question, so I'm going to field it as a question. If that's what you were going through.
I did ask the question.
I didn't know if this was rhetorical or not, proving a point, because that would have also worked. I think that you see a more disciplined Auburn team next week, and you have to. You're picking on a bottom feeder in the SEC. After Florida and Georgia, that's got to be the easiest start of the slate, aside from maybe playing Vanderbilt or Ole Miss. But you're picking on a bottom feeder in the SEC that did get better under, but I think it's probably going to wind up being a bridge coach and Mike White, but still got better. They're a smaller team, familiar foe, right? I think that this is a disciplined team. You just haven't seen a ton of. The sample size is weird for us to this point because we don't know how this team bounces back. Really, we know they bounced back well from the USC loss. They've not lost back-to-back games yet this year, which, I mean, granted, sample size is still small, only 13 games, but still, both times that they've come back from losses, they've looked stronger. Minus, some sloppy play against Georgia State. That's neither here nor there, right? But I think that the scheme that Georgia runs and the Mike White teams are always going to give Bruce Pearl teams fits. It's just kind of how it works. But I think that lack of talent in Athens right now should make things look cleaner than maybe they are. But I think discipline will be a key. Having 2 big men that Georgia really can't compete with, it's going to be kind of night and day. I think that next Wednesday, I'll go ahead and say this way too early, and we'll talk about it when we get closer, obviously in the preview episode. But guard play is going to be it's going to be the best opportunity for a get right guard game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because
So
you're going to need games where we need Zep to score. If he's going to be our starting guard, he's got to score points. I know he's the defensive guy. He put up, I think, 3 steals. He'll get the ball out of the opposing guard's hands. He's going to get the ball, but will Zep be able to score points? 0 points tonight. I think last game he put up like 8 or something. He put up a decent amount to where I think you brought up the fact that maybe we're seeing a more consistent scoring opportunities from Zeb Jasper, but it seems he took half the team took a giant step back from the Washington game to this game, and it was night and day watching the Washington game and watching this game.
only like I said, I only got to watch 10 minutes of it. Went back and watched recap film from the first half. Uh, Felt like a Washington game hangover, like it really did. It kind of felt like Auburn rolled in and said, "We're right now, like we're back to where we should be," and then they looked like dog. Um, if there were ever a game, and you want to blow out your opponent every single game, I understand how sports work. I'm not dumb. Been around the block. If there was ever a game that you want to go in on the road and just run somebody out of the gym, it's next Wednesday in Athens, Georgia, or next Tuesday, but Wednesday for sure. Sorry, Wednesday because I know it's January 4th. Wednesday for sure. You want to run Georgia out the gym,
Yes.
and if you want to make a little quote graphic for me for that, feel free. I didn't know if that's what you were taking notes for.
Oh no, Arkansas just finished their bowl game. I just got the post ready to put that up.
Yes, right. Mr. SEC Football News over here as well.
Yes,
I'm sorry if
I
I
wrote
gave
3 pages.
incognito name, but
But like as you were saying, yeah, definitely a giant hangover from the Washington game to this game. Another thing about this game was you were not able to witness this part of the game. Janai Broom got a second foul with 5 minutes left in the first half.
I didn't have to see that one to see the one that he committed on Colin Castleton within 5 minutes left in the game.
Well, that's one thing because Auburn still played like at least like played decent in the last 5 minutes of the game. The last 5 minutes of the first half was absolutely brutal to watch. You didn't have Janai Broom defending Colin Castleton. You had a confused Dylan Cardwell and you had Johan Traore out there trying to do that's where he got most of his minutes was whenever Janai got taken out. Like I couldn't I almost wanted to turn off the game. I couldn't look at it anymore. It was just brutal to watch. And I think we know Jay Will's our best scorer, but I think right now, when he's consistently playing well, Janai Broom is Auburn's best player. And the way they look without Janai on the field on the court is just
Lost.
Lost is the best word to use. It was brutal. That last 5 minutes was just probably the worst bit of Auburn basketball I have watched in a hot minute.
We're going to have to do a pretty in-depth breakdown for the Georgia game just to talk about talking points, and a lot of this will circle back. So I'm excited to see when we kind of get the chance. I'm a film junkie. You know how I operate. I'm going to go back and watch this game again.
You're going to really enjoy this last 5. I'm going to get a text message from you like, oh yeah, that was
I've got a 2-hour plane ride on Monday night, and you already know I'll have the game downloaded on my laptop and I'll be rewatching it.
You're gonna need about like a 30-minute interval between.
They serve Bloody Marys on the plane. It's okay.
you're gonna need that halftime to just go play fully out after those 5 minutes because that was just the worst 5 minutes of basketball I've ever seen. That's when the bulk of the turnovers happened. The defense was just non-existent.
I have to take a little personal timeout and play games on my phone for a minute,
But that game was just horrendous after that. But Auburn did win. Auburn won.
A win is a win is a win is a win.
A win is a win is a win is a win. Just that'll be your quote would be a win is a win is a win is a win. 61-58, starting off undefeated in SEC play. Kentucky is losing to Missouri, I believe. Last time I checked. It was like 75-50 something last time I looked. My mind's been on Arkansas, Kansas in the game of how we're going to be able whoever wins, we get to say it that way.
Final Missouri 89, Kentucky 75. Missouri might be legit.
Or Kentucky's just bad.
Yeah, well, Missouri's also like 12-1 now.
Nice. We played Missouri this year, right?
No, Auburn does not play Missouri.
Let's go. But looking at other Auburn sports news, if you were on Twitter at all and you follow us on Twitter, you'll notice that there was two different Jeffrey Mba posts that went up yesterday that I got thrown for a complete loop during.
This was the funniest experience for me from just getting a phone call from you. It was the funniest thing in the world, dude.
Because you heard my voice, I was stressed out because I was like, someone tweeted out that Jeffrey Mba was potentially in the portal, so I went to his Instagram, and he had a story post to go up. It was a picture of the Watchman, Dr. Manhattan, sitting on the moon, and it says, I have entered my name in the transfer portal. Which, what better source is there in the world
Than him.
than the guy who's entering the portal?
So you see what happened was.
So I made the graphic, posted it, and then I get a text message from Mr. Zach Blackerby asking me who my source was, and it wasn't good. And I was
Jeffrey Mba had taken the post down.
Yeah, little did I know he had deleted the story, and then I had to take it down. And then I got a text message from you, Mr. Harrison Tarr, saying that it was 100%, so it went back up.
Let me take it from here, so we make sure we cover our bases. Sources. You with me?
Yes.
So I get a call from Dylan yesterday from your boy the Tank. Dude, is Jeffrey Mba in the portal? Is he in the portal? Is he not in the portal? I was like, he's in the portal. Calm down. I just got off the phone with somebody. And then I get another phone call about like 10 minutes later. And it turns out Jeffrey Mba has withdrawn his name from the portal. So by my math, Jeffrey Mba was in the transfer portal for 23 minutes.
Career long.
Before making his decision to withdraw his name and return to the Auburn Tigers. And as far as the college league is concerned, that is all we know.
And just so anyone isn't confused, you can't see it because my green screen now. I have the story on my phone. If anyone wants proof of anything that happened, I'll put it in front of me. I have the story.
It did happen. He is withdrawn. He will be with the Auburn program, which is huge. This is great for Auburn, by the way. Keeping Mba was one of the very few good things that Brian Harsin did for the program, and keeping him at whatever transpired.
And you say one of the best things Brian Harsin did for Auburn. Jeffrey Mba really came into his own after Brian Harsin was fired.
I meant like the acquisition part.
Yes. And another big Auburn news in the football world, Jarrett Stidham.
I was hoping you were going to have this on the rundown. I completely forgot to talk about it beforehand.
Does anyone ever remember Jarrett Stidham, former Auburn quarterback, played in 2017? I'm old enough to remember Jarrett Stidham days. 2017, one of the best quarterbacks we've ever watched. 2018, one of the most average quarterbacks we've ever watched. Drafted to the Patriots in the 4th round in the 2019 NFL draft. Played there for a couple of years. Got traded to the Raiders this offseason or the previous offseason, one of the two. If one of them, he's on the Raiders. He's on the Raiders, and with the
math checks out for this past offseason. I think the math checks out better for this past offseason. I'm not sure.
Well, he had a child at some point in between. Throw that out there as well.
His
Kennedy
kids,
Stidham.
Yeah, him and Kennedy. Their kids. They have it's like a youngling. Like
yeah, and if you didn't know, Jarrett Stidham's from Texas.
Did he transfer from Baylor? I heard rumors.
Dude, I think he was from Baylor.
And Bo Nix was at the national championship game in 2010.
You're right. And Tua Tagovailoa is from Hawaii.
No way.
But Jarrett Stidham will be getting his first career start in the NFL this Sunday versus the San Francisco 49ers. And he will be starting the rest of the season for a team that is looking to try to not get eliminated from the playoffs.
Talk about set up for failure.
Is he though? Because he's not terrible. He's not a bad quarterback. He's an average quarterback. And if you get an average quarterback, Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, and I don't know if Darren Waller's still playing.
Hunter
I don't know if he's injured. Hunter Renfrow. He has the weapons there to potentially take the job for himself.
I mean, this is going to have to just be a situation we monitor. I'm with you. It's a great opportunity for him. I think if you're going to bench Carr, I'm not even getting. We're not an NFL podcast. I'm not going to.
Carr's already stepped away from the team. From what
Yeah,
I've heard.
as he should. Um, Derek Carr, you are a Pittsburgh Steeler. Anyways, Derek Carr, you are a Carolina Panther. Anyway,
No, no. I like bearded Sam Darnold.
I can't wait for all the recruiting board or the draft boards when I'm on our draft show and I'm like, you are a Pittsburgh Steeler. You are a Pittsburgh Steeler. Anyways, um, this is a good opportunity for him. We'll monitor this and keep him updated. I mean, if he throws like I don't know 6 tutties, maybe we'll talk about it.
If he has a great game, we'll talk about it. If he has an absolutely horrendous game,
We'll clown him for it.
we'll clown him for it. If he just has a middle of the pack, 1 touchdown, 1 interception,
We'll just
180
briefly
yards,
mention it and go right on next.
we'll like, hey, this happened today. And other news.
In other news, here's this 0-star fullback that we should recruit, that Auburn should be considering.
Here's this 6'8" other French defensive tackle that played JUCO with Jeffrey Mba that we are now trying to steal from or bring over.
We do. Speaking of recruiting, we do have a little more news to talk about.
We do.
Go ahead, Mr. Larck. I'll let you lead in. It kind of clicked in my head while I was thinking about it.
Is you want to talk about the running back? Okay, Dylan Johnson, running back from Mississippi State, still in the transfer portal. He will be announcing where he is going on January 3rd, and Auburn's looking to be his go-to place right now.
It's a serious contender, and I'm going to eat my words. I guess Dylan's just going to have to clip it up where Daniel and I were both wrong about acquiring transfer portal running back. I think he's an Auburn lead from what I hear. Now, granted, January 3rd is a long ways away in recruiting world, right? It's a very long ways away. I mean, by the time this is published, it'll be December 29th. I mean, that gives them a full 5 days. Like, don't even start to count your chickens.
I brought this up on last episode. I don't know if anybody really heard me, but I was on the line of thinking that, you told us with the panic about the whole Jeremiah Cobb thing, but could this be like, hey, we're picking up another running back. Hey, Jeremiah, probably want to sign if you want to see any kind of playing time this year. That could be the case. I mean, because we weren't really expecting a running back besides Jeremiah Cobb in this recruiting class.
I'll tell you this, Larck. I've told you everything I know about running backs, and if there's something going on with Jeremiah Cobb, there's nothing I've been informed of. Which I mean, I am so far from the pinnacle of Auburn news. Like, people don't come tell me secrets all the time. But from the conversations I've had, I've been given no reason to think that Jeremiah Cobb won't be with the program come fall 2023. But also, I mean, crazier things have happened.
I'm saying it could be a theory.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna try to pick up a transfer running back to try to pressure our incoming 2023 guy to sign quicker.
Well, I mean, he has to wait till February now, but
my theory has just been debunked.
my favorite personal theory is that the LOI was actually signed on signing day, and Jeremiah Cobb's just going to wait till like the most random day in the world and just send it to us.
It's gonna have to be a day. There's gonna be no Auburn athletics playing. We're gonna be this is gonna be a normal day.
You and I are gonna be like, dude, COD, Fortnite, Rocket League, like.
Luckily, I've had he was the first graphic I made because I was fully expecting him to be the first name I heard on signing day, and it just didn't happen.
So there's interesting news on that front. I'd be interested to see what other transfer you were talking about. I think we're talking about the same guy. So we'll let you throw out the name, and I'll tell you how much I'm willing to talk about it.
I was going to bring up a little guy named Sam Hartman who entered the portal and committed to Notre Dame in the same day. Another guy I was going to bring up is maybe this could be for a different episode. Have a Grayson McCall versus Spencer Sanders discussion.
Which one do you want to talk about right now? Or like, which one do you want to go first? We have a few more minutes before we have to wrap this one up for drive time, obviously.
Maybe we could save it for next episode on New Year's because next episode, we're going to be talking about the women's basketball game that is tomorrow. And for the remainder of that time, we could compare and contrast the pros and cons of having either Spencer Sanders in the Auburn Tigers or having Grayson McCall.
Well, can I do a little 2-second film breakdown on Sanders? Because I told you I was at the airport watching a good amount of Sanders.
Yeah, you can.
Because I'm a dweeb who absolutely just can't stop watching film because my brain is just not wired correctly. I think I've sold myself on Spencer Sanders fitting in the Auburn system. The arm strength is probably better than Ashford's. The accuracy is certainly better. The mobility, you're not going to match Robbie Ashford. It's just not going to happen. Here's a comparison that's probably going to get us canceled in terms of like people in Auburn are going to stop listening to our show. So I apologize in advance. You might want to cut this. There are some Bo Nixisms.
I mean, I'm gonna leave it in, and I'm gonna quote it, and I'm gonna make sure everyone knows that you are wanting. I'm gonna make it sound like you want Spencer Sanders because he plays like Bo Nix.
That's just slander, but okay. Um, let me put it this way. I think that Bo Nix is a better college quarterback than Spencer Sanders. I think that you would probably agree with that.
I would definitely agree with that.
But I think their skill set in terms of being able to run a pro style offense like he did at Oklahoma State, being able to scramble when you have to, kind of be a playmaker. I think that Nix has the edge there. I think arm strength, they're probably dead even, maybe a little edge to Nix. And you're going to keep hearing me say that because I don't think Spencer Sanders is as good as Bo Nix. Football IQ is about the same, so about average. But pocket presence wise, Sanders is a guy that doesn't take a ton of sacks, which Bo Nix doesn't turn the ball over a ton, like Bo Nix. It's similar in their play styles. I think Nick's a little more athletic. You're getting more of a pro style quarterback, and Sanders. My $1 million question, and the reason I think it would fit right now is the reconstruction of the line, right? And the fact that I think you and I are on the same page about really believing in the skill position set that Auburn's got right now.
Yeah.
I think that you and I are, at least I speak on my own behalf. I think I speak on yours too. Receiver room, tight end room, and obviously the running back room. I'm pretty interested and excited for.
Oh yeah.
I think that Auburn's actually reasonably set up in that front. I think the only advantage is Sanders has got more experience than Ashford. I think they bring different skill sets, and if you want to run more of a pro style offense, like similar to what Ole Miss did with Chad Kelly under Freeze, then maybe Sanders is the right transfer quarterback. I don't think he's option A.
I will say, whenever you have a team or a situation like Hugh Freeze is going into, when you have a young quarterback who just coming off of starting the remainder of the season, thinking of a transfer quarterback, you're not usually looking for like the guy. You're looking for someone. If you have a talented quarterback enough, like Robbie Ashford, and you just need a 1 year, like a bridge quarterback, to try to help mold the more talented younger guy. That's kind of what I believe Spencer Sanders would be. And same thing with Grayson McCall. I feel it's the same way. You're just getting another quarterback for a year, but I feel like McCall is just way more talented than Spencer Sanders is.
Okay.
That's what you're waiting for me to say. I was going to say it. Great. If you're not Grayson McCall, if you gave me 3 options and it's McCall, Robbie, tell me to start, bench, and cut. I'm starting McCall, benching Robbie, and I'm cutting Spencer Sanders.
I want to add to that though. I don't think you have a bad option. I really don't in that dream scenario. I really don't think there's. Let's look at the ceiling right now. I think the ceiling 7 or 8 wins for Auburn in 2023. I think that's a great year for them. I really do in a rebuild. And it's at the SEC. It's college football. Anything can happen. Yeah. But I think hovering around that would be great. That's when I start asking myself the question of, is it worth not playing Robbie Ashford? And I keep coming back to that devil's advocate. I think the only situation where it's worth not playing Robbie Ashford is if it's Grayson McCall. And we've mentioned before the McCall is in and then McCall's out and then we're playing hopscotch, then we're jumping through hoops, then Dylan's throwing me an alley-oop dunk and we're living in fantasy land. Like you're going back and forth and there's just not enough traction right now that we know about for me to think that that's a feasible option. And until I hear anything, I'm confident there's interest on Sanders' part from Spencer Sanders in Oklahoma State. I don't buy it. You know what I mean? I don't buy that there's going to be a guy that's not Robbie Ashford at QB1 in 2023. And I don't personally think barring Grayson McCall, I don't think there should.
Yeah, and
but I also have kind of convinced myself that Sanders could work.
Well, that's because you're a Gundyism type guy.
And a film junkie. You got to give me a
You are a film junkie, but I'm just saying there's a little bias because he does wear that orange and black that Mike Gundy has been coaching for.
I don't.
however long now.
Gundy's another one of those guys that I'll throw people under the bus all the time for. Great recruit. I think he's a good recruiter for his school, right? For Oklahoma State. He's just not a very good X's and O's coach.
But I think you said the ceiling for Auburn this year, 7 or 8 wins. I could say that it's probably a little higher. I would say 8, 9. I'd go up one. I think 9 wins is very capable.
As long as you weren't saying double digits. If it was double digits, I was going to ask for whatever drugs you're on.
The ceiling is definitely 15 wins.
In theory.
But when you look at the ceilings and floors, I think, and you look at these 3 quarterbacks, I think that the higher ceiling can be reached with Grayson McCall. And I think if you're reaching for a middle of the road, like a decent rebuilding year season, you're gonna stick with the Spencer Sanders or Robbie Ashford. But I think Robbie Ashford is definitely the quarterback of the future. I think Holden Jarner, bringing him in now, is probably going to be transferring. If
maybe at the end of spring,
over these next couple months, I feel like we're definitely going to have a transfer situation. Robbie's going to be the guy if we don't pick up those guys. But if we get McCall, Robbie stays, and Jarner's gone. And there's too many quarterbacks getting thrown around now. If Grayson McCall is starting, I think 9 wins is very feasible.
I would agree.
Because I think Grayson McCall, he plays, I'm going to bring up one of your points. He plays like Bo Nix, but I will say he's a better quarterback than Bo Nix is, all-around quarterback. Because watching him play today, he basically had to carry Coastal Carolina to even be within contention of East Carolina. And I don't think you like my comment very much on him being a better quarterback than Bo Nix.
We'll do a quarterbacks episode. I think that's a really good idea sometime in the near future. And I'm just going to kind of leave. I know we're wrapping up here. I'm going to leave on this parting thought. This is my personal opinion, and I think that you may echo me, you may disagree. I know that Daniel and I are kind of on the same page here. I think that if your ceiling is 9 wins next year, and you just want to focus on making a bowl game, development, recruitment, and that's all good and great and what Free should be doing right now. I think there's a ton of value in playing Robbie Ashford. I think there's so much value in playing Robbie Ashford in terms of he's going to have to use his eligibility anyways, right? Mm-hmm. Let the kid get better. In my opinion, Robbie Ashford, every single game he started this year, he was better the next game than he was the game before, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I think that there's just a ton of value to sticking with him. And that's not just me being a Ashford bow down truther. I just think longevity wise, it makes the most sense.
I completely agree. I mean, me and you, 2022 A-Day, me and you were praising Robbie Ashford. He was the next coming up great quarterback for Auburn after that day. And I think you're 100% right. I think that him starting this year would be very beneficial to him and the team. But if you're in a win now situation, Grayson McCall would be the best option available.
We'll talk about it all and more later in the week.
Yes, we will. And with that, I'll end the episode here. I'm Dylan Larck at your boy the Tank on Twitter.
Harrison Tarr at by Harrison Tarr with the Auburn Daily.
And it's been the College Loop Podcast. See y'all.